Have you had plants that just don't make it through the year? Try as you might, you just can't keep these plants happy. Stick around with me and let me talk you through some of my less fortunate plants from the last year. Hi, my name is Memo, this is my channel Houseplantygoodness, and essentially it's a place where I like to geek out about my big passion. You might be able to see some of it behind me, it's tropical houseplants. So yeah, as I was saying, we've all got those plants, don't we? Like, it's not just me, I'm pretty sure it's not just me, that like just don't manage to pull through in the year, basically, whilst you're trying to care for them. Either they go super fast or they just like slowly decline. And I thought I'd share some of the ones from my collection that didn't make it. Some of them have been from unboxings that I've done throughout the year as well. Some of them went relatively quickly, some of them less so. It was more of a slow, painful decline. And the reason why I thought let's do a video like this is, and I know a lot of other YouTubers and other like plantstagrammers and things like that have done this over the time, over the years, months, years, over the time basically, is because it's a good idea for us and everybody kind of who's into plants to remind other people and ourselves within the community that things like this happen. It doesn't matter how long you've been growing plants for. Some plants you either don't gel with, your care isn't the right care, they might have just not been meant for you, and try as you might, they might not survive. Some of them you'll try again, some of them you'll be like, you know what, not worth it, not worth it. I wasn't 100% sure on you, and I'm definitely not 100% sure on you at all at the moment, so you will kind of let those plants go and just go, you know what, learning experience. I've learned things, but not learned things that I'm going to do to get you back into my life, if that makes sense. So yes, without further ado, this is going to be probably more of a video where I have like pictures or videos from unboxings of these specific plants, because as I was just talking, the topic is plants that I no longer have with me, so let's dive into it. And the first one that I'm starting with really hurt me, because it's one that I've really enjoyed growing. This is one that I will be trying to add into my collection. Again, I'll probably do another order, but springtime basically. Like I think it was springtime when I got this. I can't remember if it was summer, sorry. The plant that I'm talking about is the Anthurium flavolineatum. And it was absolutely spectacular. I can't remember if it was flavolineatum affinity. I think it was just flavolineatum. I think the affinity is the plant here, the philodendron, that did make it through, which I cannot remember, I can never remember what this one's called. It is the bipinnatifida affinity, yeah, so this is the bipinnatifida affinity survived. The Anthurium flavolineatum, which had similar kind of leaves to this, did not make it. And you might be able to see from the picture that I've got here, it was a really cool plant. It was a bit more of an upright Anthurium rather than kind of a nest or a clumping Anthurium. It had those kind of really long pointy leaves with tiny lobes, if I'm not mistaken, at the top. It was just spectacular. Now, if I was to estimate what went wrong with this plant, several things. And I'll kind of talk you through at least my kind of, is the right word, post-mortem of what kind of went wrong, really. So the plant arrived, and hopefully I've got a video or images of what the roots look like. And by and large, they were okay. They didn't have an awful lot of rot on them. I think they had some rot on them, but not an awful lot of rot. And this is as I got them in from shipping, basically. And the plant was very healthy. I think it maybe lost one leaf, one yellow leaf that happened during shipping, and for the longest period of time, well, say longest, about a month or two when I first got it, everything seemed fine. I did the usual thing, because obviously it comes to you bare root. I did the normal thing that I did do back then with a lot of my Anthuriums, which is to put it in semi-hydro. And most of my Anthuriums that are still in semi-hydro tend to do okay in semi-hydro. Things that I have learned, and I have mentioned this on other videos, is this was an Anthurium that had very, very thin roots. And that's important here because I have learned since then that, you know what, the semi-hydro, the coarse semi-hydro that I was using, the really, really chunky kind of pebbles really, really good for anthuriums with thicker roots. You know, the juicy, juicy roots kind of anthuriums. They love that because it gives them an awful lot of like large spaces to go through. What I have learned is my anthuriums that have the thinner roots really do need to go into a finer semi-hydro mix, just so that those roots make a bit more contact with a bit more surface area of the semi-hydro material. Now, this plant went into a coarse semi-hydro mix, and I think what happened with this was it was drying out too much. The roots were so thin that they were desiccating, and then I was re-wetting it, and essentially what it ended up happening was it got root rot. And it was such a slow, sad decline. The decline was over a 3 or 4 month period where I would just lose one leaf, another leaf, another leaf. And I tried to rescue it and repot it into a different media. It really did not like that. That just made things worse. I did remove, obviously, all the rotted root material. It just did not like that. Eventually, I ended up losing all of the leaves. And as one last ditch attempt, because there was still some non-rotted material, I took off all of the rot from the actual stem. That was the only thing that I had left, and put it, unfortunately I didn't have even a single root left, but there were some decent aerial roots that were on there. I put it into my propagation box. It has never come out. Well, it did, but the whole thing just rotted away basically. So it was such an unfortunate shame. And I don't know, so that's what I said, because I really enjoyed growing, or enjoyed the look of that plant much more so than I ever would have thought about. And I'll kind of link the unboxing that I did at the top there, and you can see my reaction to that plant. I think truly I was most excited about that one specific plant, and it wasn't one that I was very aware of before. So yes, I think I will be adding that back into the collection. Moving on to another plant, and I don't remember if this was on the same unboxing, the same order, or the previous order, and it was the Anthurium argyrostachyum. So this was an interesting one because, I don't know, maybe it was the one after as well, I don't remember. I think it was the same one that I got, the Anthurium ofulterianum, which is the one that was, if I'm not mistaken, named after Enid from NSC Tropicals. And it was a very similar vibe. Hopefully I've got images, videos, something that I've put on the side here that you might be able to see. This plant, in the unboxing where it arrived, really was struggling. Like, it was struggling a lot, like it had lost at least half of its leaves. The roots, again, had some root rot, but there were still roots on there. I removed a lot of the root rot from those roots and put it again in semi-hydro, and it just didn't, that one declined very fast. It just never really bounced back. Now, again, can we do a post-mortem on this? I think the problem with this one is, in an ideal world, it would have been better if I had something like a glass cabinet or a grow tent or anything like that, because that's half the problem with these things. If you've ever ordered from overseas and you get plants, and usually if you reach out to them going, this plant really is struggling, they'd be like, well, you know, I just give it a high humidity and all of these things. And it basically, without them telling you as much, they just like put it into a prop box or put it into something terrarium-esque, and it should, after a month or two, bounce back enough that then you can remove it out. Understandable. The problem that happens there, and the kind of more of a challenge, is that these plants generally tend to be quite sizable. So trying to get anything like that, especially with leaves, with larger leaves, into a situation like that is a lot to ask for, especially because most of us don't just randomly, wouldn't it be nice, don't just randomly have like empty, like massive terrariums or like grow tents or like glass cabinets to throw these big kind of rehab plants in. Most of the time, if we're being honest, they are all filled to capacity if we've got them. So it is one of those things. So I do think that that plant specifically needed something like that, and that would have been the only thing that would have salvaged it. And keep in mind, it was in here. It was in here where it obviously had come, I think it was spring or summer, so the temperatures would have been okay. The humidity in that time of the year in here is insane. We're looking at 80 to 90% humidity. It might as well be in a terrarium. The light would have been good as well in here. So, do I think a terrarium would have been better? Maybe. I don't know. So, it is one of those things that, and I did put it in semi-hydro. Reality with this one is, again, it had thinner roots. Should I have maybe put it into a soil mix? Possibly, or even thinner semi-hydro? Possibly. So it didn't make it. Now, would I get this plant again? Probably not. This is one that I don't think I would get again. Not because of my experience with the shipping, not because of my experience with the plant itself. It's because after I received it, it was very same. It was very similar. I think it might have even been the same order that I had the Anthurium recavum, which is very reminiscent of the Anthurium esmeraldense, and very reminiscent as well, the shape of it was very reminiscent to the Anthurium ofulterianum as well. So because it was very same, I don't think I would go for it again. And I think that was another one that grew tall and then the leaves would come off it, because the ofulterianum stays quite low and the leaves kind of grow out from the base. The esmeraldense does the same thing. The recavum does the same thing. So I tend to have a bit of an issue with these anthuriums that tend to like grow really tall and then sprout out leaves. Thinking of it now, I don't think I can keep most of them very happy for very long. So yeah, this is one that I don't think I'm going to be re-adding again, but it was a learning experience. I learned a few things along the way with this one, but yes, not one that I'm going to be re-adding back into the collection. Now the next one that didn't make it, I do actually have a replacement. If anybody's watched any of my recent videos, you can probably all guess it and scream at me in the comment down below. But this is a begonia, and this is a begonia pinnatipartita? Is it pinnatipartita? Pinnatifida, that was it. I think, if not, correct myself, because but it is this beautiful begonia here, and it's one that obviously I've replaced here, but let me tell you a bit more about kind of how the first one declined, what I've learned, and what I'm doing differently for this specific plant. So that was a begonia that I got from the UK, so it was from a seller in the UK. And it came to me and it was beautiful and it was exactly what I was expecting it to be. I had never heard of this begonia before. Apologies if I'm going a bit darker, but there's a lot of clouds that are happening at the moment. So for the people in the UK, I'm like days before they're predicting that really heavy snowfall. Remains to be seen, because we've been promised these heavy snowfalls before and they don't really ever happen. So let me see if I can switch on a different light and see if that makes it a bit brighter in here. Oh, I think that might be a bit too bright. Let me switch that one off again. We'll just have to make do with the light as it is at the moment. So, yes, this was a begonia, the Begonia pinnatifida. I'm kind of looking down because I want to say pinnatipartita, pinnatifida. This is a plant that I saw from Sarah, the plant rescuer, on Instagram. Obviously, I'm friends with Sarah and we've seen each other in loads of these different events. Lovely individual. If you're not following Sarah, the plant rescuer, on Instagram, what are you doing? I'll put the Instagram handle at the top. But she was saying that she'd managed to grow this, and hers was quite a sizable specimen as well, in regular household humidity. And this is a begonia that's generally sold as a bit more of a terrarium begonia, so it needs that high level of humidity. And she's just like, I managed to do this, and I'm just like, me getting all cocky going, you know what? If you've done it in a household condition, I really like the look of that plant, I'm going to get it and grow it in the conservatory. Shouldn't have a problem. It's going to be growing in a conservatory. My conservatory is more or less a terrarium at this point, as I've just mentioned. Let's go. No. I have never, ever in my life had a plant decline quite so quickly. I think from the moment it came to my house until the moment it was mush and fully dead was maybe a month. And it declined all the way through. Oh, and it's hailing at the moment, so apologies if you're hearing anything from the glass roof, basically. So it is one of those things that just declined really fast. Again, post-mortem on this and what I think went wrong and what I'm doing differently with this one. So the growing media that it arrived to, actually no, it wasn't, was it? I want to say that it was around the earlier part of 2024. That makes sense. So it came to me, it was cool, the temperatures were cooler, and then, so there was obviously a bit of shock that it had from the colder weather. Then and this has got nothing to do with the cellar, this was more to do with, I think, how the grower had these plants. It was in very, very dense cocoa coir, with nothing else in it. And generally with most of my begonias, especially the ones that I'm growing in here, I want them to be airy as well. I don't need, like, I know a lot of times begonias are just like, they've got very thin, fine roots, and it's true, and that's part of the problem with this, that it's very difficult to repot because the roots are so fine and very hair-like, and I'm trying to see if I can see any that have peeked through on this just yet. No. It also didn't have a clear pot, so I couldn't see what was happening. It just stressed me out to no end. But yeah, it came with very dense soil. I don't think there was a lot of aeration. It probably would have worked for the grower because they probably didn't water it as often. They were probably growing it in very specific conditions. But it basically meant that as soon as it came over to me, I watered it, I think. Did I water it? I didn't water it once. Did I water it? Once I did water it. It came in, it was sapping wet. So I was waiting for it to kind of absorb. I think the issue had already happened, so it wasn't absorbing it, so it's just rotting off slowly. Eventually it did go dry-ish, and I then watered it again, and I think at that point it was just like, right, I'm out, I'm done, thanks, bye-bye. So lessons learned with this one, with the replacement one, I was able to take the plant out of some, and it came to me dry, and I was so happy. I got half a leaf that just crisped up because it was dry. It came to me, it was very cold day, but it was with a heat pack, and I think I've done an unboxing for that one as well. I'll put it at the top there. But the soil media was dry, which was perfect for me because it meant I could crumble away quite a bit of that soil media in the original pot that it came through without destroying any of the roots. It was so meticulously careful. I'm pretty sure I lost one or two tiny roots, but other than that, it was fine. And then I put it in Soil Ninja's Anthurium soil mix, the Orchid and Anthurium soil mix. And it's doing really, really well. It pushed out some new leaves almost instantly. It's got some new leaves coming in at the moment. I am very, very happy, but I've learned things and I've applied it to this one. So yes, hopefully, fingers crossed, it will be fine. Right, the next one on the list is another Anthurium. It was the Anthurium watermaliense, I don't know. And I don't know whether or not this was this year or it's a sneaky one that happened the year prior, but a story behind this. This is another unboxing, this was an international order. So this was another unboxing. I don't know if I can find that unboxing. If I can, I'll link it. If not, it will be somewhere. I don't know whether or not it might be easier at some point at the beginning of this video if I just kind of link up an unboxing playlist and then you can kind of see all the unboxings together. But this is a plant that this dum-dum bought thinking that it was something entirely different. So I thought I was buying the watermaliense Anthurium. Dum-dum. Because again, I'd heard good things, that the watermaliense wasn't particularly difficult. It was kind of one that would be hybridized quite frequently with the Querulariense is here. The Queen Anthurium, so the Warwickwianum Anthurium, and it was one that produced really nice, interesting hybrids, but the plant itself, the watermaliense, is a more straightforward plant, kind of similar but not quite the same vibes as the Queen Anthurium, so I wanted to get that in my collection. No patience. 2 seconds of a Google search would have told me that that was the wrong one that I was looking at. So I got that, it came over, and I'm just like, oh, it's this. I got really excited in the unboxing as well. I'm just like, oh, this and this and this, and I'm just like, and then it's only like a day later when I was editing, and I'm just like, oh no, that's not the right plant. That was this dum-dum got the wrong plant. But was it very similar looking to the watermaliense? Yes. Is there a reason why I'm disappointed that this died? Not specifically. Again, similar issues with this one. The roots really were not happy, if I remember correctly. I think most of them had rotted away. A lot of yellowing leaves. in the chunky semi-hydro, which probably should have gone into the, I'm talking about the fine semi-hydro. And there's just a lot of things that went wrong with this, and it declined really, really quickly. I think this was another one that died within a month or two of me getting it. I tried again to put it into a prop box as a bit of a wet stick, got all the rot off, did not survive. I do not have the best success when it comes to propagating Anthuriums as wet sticks. Anybody that's got good experience with that, please let me know what I'm doing wrong, because I've not been able to do it successfully ever, I don't think. Have I? No. The Anthurium luxurians, I've done it with the Regal, I've done it with the Magnificum. No, I've managed to do it with those. I just haven't done it with some of these. And it's interesting because a lot of those ones that I've done as wet sticks in a prop box, they were much smaller, much more juvenile plants. And these ones that are much more established Anthuriums, even without the roots, really did not do well. Maybe there's something to that, I don't know. But so yeah, that was the post-mortem. Would I want this back into my collection? Yes. Purely out of vindictive spite. Do I need another plant that looks like that? No. Do I have space for another plant like that? No. Did this one here get really, really pissed off by the fact that that died, even though it wasn't the one that I kind of ordered? Yes. Do I want to get another one just so I can prove to myself that I've grown it successfully? Also yes. It is one that I'll see if the price is right when I'm doing the order for maybe the flavolineatum and a few other things that I might want to add to the collection. Maybe that will fall into my basket as long as the pricing is okay, because I think all I want to do is just get it out of my system, get it in, get it happy, get it growing, maybe grow it for like 6 months or maybe a year, and please try to keep me to this because I really don't have the space for this. At that point, I'll either gift it or sell it to somebody, just because I don't need that plant in my collection. It's just more that I want to prove to myself that I can do it. Watch me fail a second time around. But if that happens, obviously, I'm not buying it again. But yeah, it's more the stubbornness. I will not be beaten. That's what I want to do with this plant. The last plant I've actually got here because I haven't got rid of it just yet. It's got maybe some like tiny bit of health. This was the Alocasia Jacklyn. What do you think? As I said, there is one remaining leaf, so what I might do is, I don't know what happened with this plant. Actually, I do know what happened with this plant. I just cannot seem to get the watering for this. I had a bigger plant, I got it, it pretty much died quite quickly. I got this as a replacement plant. It was doing well over the entirety of the summer, so I don't know whether or not this has just gone into a bit of like dormancy, because I can kind of see some healthy-ish roots. Anybody else who's growing smaller Alocasia Jacklyns, because I know some people, I think even Claire, the Plant Haven, has got a much larger version of this, and I think her one is still thriving even in the winter. Not those people that have got slightly smaller specimens of them. Do you ever have, I'm not one that's ever really experienced any, I'm very fortunate, I know this, that I've ever experienced any kind of dieback or dormancy for any of my Alocasias. This is one that I've always struggled with in terms of its watering, because I find that this one kind of wants to go a bit drier than most other Alocasias, but maybe if you let it go too dry, it will rot super quickly. I've had it in denser soil mixes. I've had it in semi-hydro, did not like that. I've had it now in my Anthurium soil mix, or Soil Ninja's Anthurium soil mix, and it seems to be the happiest it has ever been. The reason why I'm saying I think there is rot, or I can see the rotted roots in here, and this was watered over a month ago and it's still wet. So that gives you an indication as to what is happening. Do I need to repot this? Yes. Do I need to see if I can maybe get this to be a bit happier? Also yes. Will that be happening after this video? Probably. Do I want to replace this plant? I don't know at this point with this one, because I have tried growing it twice, as I said now. I will see if I can repot it and see if I can maybe nurse it back to health. But the reality with this one is 2 strikes and it's out, 3 strikes and it's out, essentially. It's what, 2 strikes, I think, and it's out. So if it comes back from this, then I will keep it. If it takes longer than 2 to 3 months to start showing me anything is happening. I don't have any space or the patience to be dealing with kind of babying this back to health. It will go back into like a compost bin. But yeah, it's a shame because I really, really like this Alocasia more than most Alocasias. And I find it really interesting because the leaves are slightly fuzzy. It's really bizarre for an Alocasia. But yeah, Alocasia Jacklyn just did not function well for me in the slightest. It's not very often that I get to show kind of super crispy Alocasias. So that is the last plant that kind of didn't make it throughout this year. Did any of these surprise you? Do you want to maybe kind of like use this as a cathartic video to say which plants just didn't make it for you in the past year? So I'm thinking kind of 2024, because we are now in 2025 and let's all hope that this is a better year. Yeah, it's... Just let us know down below, because I'd be really curious to see, did you have any of the ones that I struggled with? Did you have your own ones? Like, did you find some random obscure plant that you can keep happy and maybe that's why? Or did you manage to like kill off a relatively straightforward plant for some other people? No plant is straightforward for everybody. It is all very unique and bespoke to your conditions and your care. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully I shall see you here soon. And I truly, truly hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.